show.
Oh, did you?
I did.
That's funny, man. I gotta check that out. Send
It,
that
it,
to me.
it was it's really not that fancy. I think it's actually the first TikTok I made, and it was not. It's okay. It's nothing special.
Yeah, send that to me. And yeah, so check us out. The person that you're going to see on TikTok, that's none other than Bishop Dwayne David Royster.
And sitting across from me each and every Monday through Friday, well, some Fridays, is the Reverend Dr. Kelly Tyler.
Yeah, just depends on the spirit, man. Let me just tell you how you can tell if I'm going to be here on Friday.
How's that?
Look at the weather report. And if it even looks remotely close to that looks like the day people are going to be out on motorcycles.
That's the day you're not going to be
Yeah,
here.
yeah, you could probably rest assured I won't be here. That's kind of like my golf, right? It's like, yeah, it's like, hey, bro, something came up. If I could do the show from two wheels, I would. And the person who's trying to manage all of this, sitting in the studio this morning, is none other than Kawesa.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kwesa. I imagine you had a good ride in today.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's really cold though. Like
Yeah,
my
temperature
little
really dropped.
weather report, it's like in the 20s, but when that wind hits, it's a whole other
See,
temperature.
this is so I want to just point out something.
Mhm,
The classic example of what just happened in that moment, just that quick exchange.
mhm.
That's the difference between like knowing something by experience and
Mhm.
knowing something kind of theoretically. So I like how you just told Kawesa, yeah, it got cold out there.
Uh,
As you like probably like me went from one room to the next to get to your virtual studio. We know it's cold because the weather report says it. Kawesa knows it's cold because she had to get in it and
Well,
out of it and back in it and out of it to get to us
that
today.
that is very true, but there's also, as I descended from my bedroom down to the basement studio, there's probably a 10 degrees difference between
Oh yeah.
what was happening upstairs and what's happening in the basement.
Did you hear that,
Why?
Kawesa?
Which is
10
why
degrees.
virtually every day you see me with a sweatshirt on because it's cold.
Oh man, I'm sure Kawesa got a little violin playing
I
for
know.
you right now you went from like 75 to 65. Is that what you did, Kawesa? My God, man, that's funny. Oh boy, so glad to see folk on this morning coming on early on Facebook Live. Hit the share button, Franny, Kanisha, Raphael, Ed Minner, Katuria. Did I get it right today? I hope I did. Renee, Mabel, glad to see everybody on. And some of your names just don't pop up there. If you don't comment, it's kind of hard for us to see. I know I always get word from others that, hey, I was listening too. So you got
Just
to
say
shout
hello.
us out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just hello. That's all.
say something. Raise your hand up. Don't worry, your coworkers won't like stop talking. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter if they stop talking to you because nobody's going in anyway. But yeah, so listen, man,
There's
lots
no
to
water cooler conversation.
there's no what?
There's no water cooler conversation.
Hey,
So
bro, after COVID, there's no water cooler.
you got that right.
There'll be like little prepackaged bottles of water that nobody has touched. I went to a restaurant yesterday
Did you
in Philly.
really?
Yeah, man, went to one of my favorite breakfast spots that I haven't been able to get to in the last year. And so I had some stuff I had to do in the morning in town.
Hmm.
I was like, let me go check them out. And it was a different experience. I mean, so first of all, the food was still great. That was good.
Hmm.
And so the quality had not gone down.
Hmm.
But obviously there were, you weren't packed in there like it used to be.
Right.
But it was a nice crowd. And I kept my mask on until it was time to eat. And as soon as I finished eating my food, man, I put it right back on and got up out of there real quick. But like certain things were different. Like one thing that this restaurant was really known for was the sugar had these big, large, like homemade sugar cubes
Yeah.
that, and so they'd come out and they had little wooden tongs that you'd like pick up and like put your sugar in, and
Hmm.
the creamer came. No, man, they brought me a little plastic thing of
Yeah. Yeah.
creamer and some little crappy refined sugar. I was like, "What's this?" They're like,
Everything is. Yeah, man. They got to get you out. Got to keep it clean.
That's COVID. That's what that is." And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so I mean, it's good that things are starting to loosen up. But we're going at I think at a responsible pace. And so, speaking of loosening back up, the Philadelphia School District has now finally agreed to a deal to begin to open up schools. 53 schools, to be exact,
Yep.
are going to start having in-person classes on Monday, according to the Philadelphia Inquirer. Kirsten Graham. If you ever want to know anything about what's going on in Philly education, follow Kristen Graham. She is like, seriously, that's your trusted source. I think here's what's telling about this plan to me. It's an agreement between the district and the PFT, the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers. And for the life of me, I don't understand why all the previous attempts seem to have, they've tried to do it around the teachers union and then wonder why they get all this pushback.
Right.
And now, I mean, why I don't understand why administrations do that.
Because they feel like they should just make the decisions, everybody should fall in line.
Oh, that's why?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
I mean, and I mean, here's the other thing, right? I don't think you can make those decisions without being a conversation with parents. And, that is one of my biggest concerns. I'm like, where is the parental voice in this? Now, I mean, there's two different categories of parents, right? There are parents that are like, I just want my kids back in school. They're driving me crazy. I need to go back to work and do other things. I get those. But then there's also a set of parents that are out there saying, wait a minute, I want a safe environment for my child to go back in. And I want the teachers safe. I want my child safe because whatever my child encounters at school is coming back into my house. And so I think, all those things had not been fully vetted and addressed the first couple of times that they did that. And they do need to be in conversation with their staff and team about these decisions that are being made. These are not decisions when you're actually putting people's lives on the line. You need to have a conversation with them about that. I just feel that way.
Well, I didn't know there were two types of parents, honestly.
Well, there are probably more than that, but
I thought it was just one type, which is like, okay, please, God, tell me when I can drop this child back off at school.
Well.
No, you're right, but I'm just saying it's like parents have been going crazy, and I can only imagine. We were fortunate during this period of time because one graduated high school during COVID,
right,
and is in virtual college now, and the other is a junior, and the other two are grown and on their own, But I really think about smaller families. And here's the thing, when you have smaller families with smaller children, when you have smaller children, typically it's when you're on your come up. So you haven't quite made it yet.
Right.
So you don't have as much money. And so your place tends to be smaller too.
That's right.
So usually you got smaller children in a more confined space. Philly is famous for these tiny row homes. And so if you got two or more children running around in those spaces for the last year, I mean, seriously, my heart does go out to parents in that situation. And I just simply say, really to your real point about the second group who are concerned about, real health issues with their children and their families, try to be patient and not make decisions based on just wanting your peace of mind, but really what's going to be in the best interest for your family. And, if you have health, issues of your own, don't inadvertently put yourself out there by sending your child into a place where they may come home and bring something that, I don't know, puts you in the hospital or worse.
That's right. Absolutely. Of course, I think one of the biggest learnings that's happening right now for a whole bunch of parents out there is that when their teachers send back reports about their kids, they're learning that's the truth. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Hey, so Gail on Facebook Live, by the way, good to see all the rest of you as well. Asa, Peggy, Sheriff Bilal, what's up? Glad to see Connie, Bernita, Doral Dean, and Gary and Robert. Glad to see all of you all. What's up, Renee? Gail makes a point that I was actually going to say when I heard you talking, which is when you said that the district needs to be concerned about parents' voices. I actually agree with her. She says parents do have a voice, but they try to go around the unions. I think that the reason they felt like they could do the last plans, the 2 or 3 rollouts before, is that they were responding in large part to the large support that they were getting from parents about the idea of opening the schools at any cost, and felt that that meant that they could just simply go around and bypass Jerry Jordan and the union. And I think they just learned another valuable lesson. I just still don't understand. Like, man, it's a teachers union. It's a public school. You're not going to go around that. I mean, any more than, unfortunately, on the other side, when dealing with the FOP, unions are powerful.
Lord have mercy. I mean, and we want unions to be powerful, right? We want unions to have a strong say in the workforce and in the job site, and to make, press for safety and fair and decent wages and benefits and all those things. So I'm totally supportive of that. I'm not supportive of institutions that mask the criminal activity of their members, which is what the FOP does. That's what I have an issue with the FOP. I don't think of the FOP as a legitimate union in the same way that I think of like SEIU or Unite Here or AFSCME. I think of the FOP as basically doing everything they can to protect their members when they do illegal activities. And that's where I take exception.
I got you. Well, same here. No, you'll get no debate with me.
Can I
yeah, go ahead.
I just want to shout out a couple people because our YouTube folk are up and looking at Dre Terry, Nikki O'Tam, Gary Thomas, and N. Watson. Walston is they're both watching us on YouTube. So I just wanted to say hey. And there's a bunch of people watching on YouTube, but they haven't said hello, so I don't know who they are. So say hello. We can shout you out.
Yeah, YouTubers, come on out. Let us know who you are.
YouTube is much quiet than Facebook, and it really is.
Yeah, man. So listen, a couple of things here. So I got a clip for you all later in the show. It's gonna blow your mind. It's a Southern white preacher prophesying about reparations.
Oh Lord.
A Southern white evangelical. No, it's good.
It's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, really. And yeah, I mean, I'm just, anytime you can hear a white Southern preacher tell his white congregation, shut your white mouth. It's a good clip. You ain't down with black folks, shut your white mouth.
Lord have mercy.
I'm just telling you. But before we get to that, and also I do have a spotlight on another black woman, since this is Women's History Month. Septima Clarke from South Carolina. Depending on who you talk to, she's either the mother or the grandmother of the movement. And given the fact that she was born in 1898, I'd go with grandmother of the movement. A lot of folk give Rosa Parks the mother of the movement, who was considerably younger. But again, a person who, for people who know black history, they know the name. But outside of that, it's like, who is she?
Right.
Septima Clarke, was she like Native American or something? No, she was like South Carolina, and she was like a boss. I mean, really. But before we get to any of that, we got to at least just hit the big story one of the big stories of the morning, which is this. So another woman, a third woman.
Oh yeah.
Has come out on Governor Cuomo. And calls are mounting for him to resign. Can he survive this one? What do you think?
Cuomo is the Trump of the Democratic Party, man. He doesn't care.
But he's in the Democratic Party, not the Republican Party, because the Democrats, unlike Republicans, actually do care about things like this.
He's in his third term. He's not, he's going to, lean on what he did during COVID. I mean, this is actually funny, right? I remember when people were like the Cuomo for President movement, and I'm like, y'all need to talk to people from New York, especially those that are involved in politics.
We both said that.
And I'm like, y'all need, I mean, they are not fans, right? First of all, for the longest time, Cuomo aligned himself. There was a group of Democrats, and the Democrats had both the Senate and the House and the state assembly. And Cuomo, there was a group of Democrats that actually caucused with the Republicans, and they were supported by Cuomo in terms of what they were doing during that time frame. Cuomo has gone against every progressive organization in the state of New York, has attacked them, and he's a bully. He's a bully in a very big way in terms of everything that he does, which is why when he and Trump were going back and forth, right, it's two bullies in a room trying to bully each other. It's this real thing. So it doesn't surprise me that these allegations are coming. I'm sure there are going to be a lot more. Now, the interesting thing is that everything that's come out so far appears to be harassment. It does not appear like there's actually been any sexual impropriety outside of sexual harassment, which is bad enough in and of itself, right? But there hasn't been like forced sexual activity or anything of that nature. Nevertheless, this guy who was, spends all his time attacking Trump and then come to find out he has Trump-esque, qualities himself, with a tad bit of narcissism on top, certainly is issue. Letitia James is supposed to be the Attorney General. She's the BA, African-American woman, African-American woman who is kicking behind in New York, who could potentially be a gubernatorial candidate at some point. As the AG there, she's going to do the investigation. Both Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, the senators from New York State have called for an independent investigation. They want Cuomo to stay out of it and let let Letitia James do what she has to do. Yeah. So I think that there is a lot, probably more, that will be uncovered in this process. People will probably feel emboldened to come out the woodwork now, and it's going to be a challenge. We're out of time.
Yeah, well, and again, he says he's apologizing for his for what he believes are jokes that went too far. But we'll see. We've got to take a break. Like I said, we're over time. 6:22 in the morning. If you got to get there by 6:22, you're late. We'll be right back. It's the Power Hour. Don't go anywhere. Hit the share button. Tell your friends to come on in.
Hi, this is John.
Hi, this is Juanita, owners of JD's Auto Body and Painting. We're located at 6300 Wayne Avenue, right there at the intersection of Wayne and Washington Lane.
We really like to thank all you WURD listeners for the support that you've given our business, and we really hope to see you in the future.
JD, tell them about our products and services we have.
We have a new state-of-the-art paint shop along with our body shop and detail shop. We can help you with the dents and scratches from the winter season.
Come to JD's Auto Body and Painting. Come on out and check us out. We're still honoring that WURD 10% discount. Give us a call, 215-848-5949. Again, 215-848-5949.
Thanks again for supporting our business. We really appreciate you.
See you at JD's Auto Body and Painting.
James Schuler Memorial Boxing Gym presents Around the Way Rumbling, an amateur boxing event Saturday, March 6th. The first bout is at 2 p.m. at James Schuler Memorial Gym, located at 750 North Brooklyn Street off of 42nd and Lancaster Avenue. Boxing saves lives, and this is the perfect time to join the gym. Monthly memberships and boxing lessons are available for ages 7 through 70. For sponsorship information, call Crystal at 717-421-0512.
This WURD Women's History Month vignette is brought to you by AARP and PICO.
The trailblazing black woman Oprah Winfrey is an American talk show host, television producer, actress, author, and philanthropist. She is best known for her talk show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, which was the highest-rated television program of its kind in history and ran in national syndication for 25 years. Credited with creating a more intimate, confessional form of media communication, Winfrey popularized and revolutionized the tabloid talk show genre. Dubbed the queen of all media, she is North America's first black multi-billionaire, and she has been ranked the greatest black philanthropist in American history. In 2008, she formed her own network, OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network, which is an American multinational basic cable channel jointly owned by Discovery Inc. and her Harpo Studios. She's also an Academy Award-nominated actress as Sophia in The Color Purple.
This WURD Women's History Month vignette was brought to you by AARP Pennsylvania and PICO, powering communities.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. We're here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news happenings around Philadelphia and, of course, our opinion. And we have plenty of those. All right, Doc. I know you got stuff to share.
No, I'm reading this Cuomo apology.
Uh-huh.
And so he says, Cuomo actually says this. This is what he says. You tell me what you think about it, folks. Questions have been raised about some of my past interactions with people in the office. I never intended to offend anyone or cause any harm. I spend most of my life at work, and colleagues are often also personal friends. It's wrong right there. When you're the boss, it is. At work, sometimes I think I'm being playful and make jokes that I think are funny. I do, on occasion, tease people in what I think is a good-natured way. I do it in public and in private. You've seen me do it at briefings hundreds of times. I've teased people about their personal lives, their relationships, about getting married or not getting married. I mean no offense, and only attempt to add some levity and banter to what is a very serious business. I now understand that my interactions may have been insensitive or too personal, and that some of my comments, given my position, made others feel in ways I never intended. I acknowledge some of the things that I acknowledge some of the things I have said have been misinterpreted as an unwanted flirtation. To the extent anyone felt that way, I am truly sorry about that. To be clear, I never inappropriately touched anybody, and I never propositioned anybody, and I never intended to make anyone feel uncomfortable. But these are allegations that New Yorkers deserve answers to. And it goes on a little bit more from there. But, let's talk about that. Again, man, you're the governor, bro. 2-term governor. About to be 3rd-term governor. Well, up until now.
Term. Yeah.
What's that? He's in his 3rd term now?
I think he is in his 3rd term. Yeah.
People were calling your name to be president. It seems to be like the excuse is kind of like all right, well, I don't know. I'm not going to go as far as like I was drinking and driving, but like if I were to say I was drinking and driving, but at least I didn't kill anybody.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So it's like the whole like I didn't touch anybody. Look, let's not talk about what I did. Let's talk about all the things I didn't do.
Uh-huh.
I didn't sexually assault anybody. I didn't rape anybody. I mean, I didn't. But does that necessarily mean that the office environment was one that was free of harassment? And so let me just say, I know people love to go and go in on this and like, this is the cancel culture. This is that. Okay, so let me just ask you, if your wife came home and said,
that's right.
My God, the boss once again said, blah, 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 blah. You'd be like, what? Man, I'm about to roll up to the governor's mansion.
Uh-huh.
I mean, see, it's all good until it's you.
That's right.
Right? This is all just about cancel culture until it's you. So for a moment, put yourself in the shoes of one of those families that had to go through this. And tell me it's just all of us just making much. I mean, going back to my daughter's question yesterday, the guy who, the creep who raped the woman in the stall at Macy's. Uh-huh. Like, what can we do to stop that? We can't ever completely stop it, unfortunately, I don't think, in this lifetime. But one of the things that we can do is to help people understand sooner that, especially in places where you have the power relationship, that you can't do certain things. They are employees. They are not your friends, Governor. When people work for you and you sign their checks, you're not friends.
Right.
And so it's not you like a friend from college and you're like, hey, look at you. I ain't seen you in 20 years. Girl, you still looking good.
Right.
That's a friend. This is a person who's like, crap, did he just make a pass at me?
Right, because you work for him.
Do I go tell somebody?
Yeah.
Does he ruin my career? He's the most powerful man in New York. What do I do with that? I'm just saying, am I making too much of this is my question.
Well, I do think that sometimes we lose sight of our role and our power. And, it's one thing if you're having a conversation with equals. It's another thing when you have the conversation.
Right.
One of the women was very explicit. She was like, he was making all these comments and talking about, he's 60, he was 60 years old. He's like, I've always imagined what it's like to be with a 20-year-old woman, kind of thing. And, that's, wait a minute, that's such a power differential, a generation differential, that she's thinking, oh my God, if I don't sleep with this guy, I'm going to lose my job. That she goes to other people, asks for help, including his chief of staff, and they move her to another job away from him in the department. Now, that actually speaks of a cover-up, right? Because the chief of staff is like, I'm getting her out of here. He's not going to mess him up because the chief of staff still wants his job. And then, takes care of the woman so she has another job in another place and doesn't. But if you feel that level of power differential, then that's where the challenge is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, you look really nice today, or, you look great. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But it's all depends on who you're saying it to, right? If you're saying that to an equal, that's one thing. If you're saying it to somebody, and let me just be clear, somebody's going to be like, we're all equal. Yes, we are all equal. But if you're in a hierarchy situation in a job, there's a power thing. And, it's another thing if you're talking to a very vulnerable young person who's eager to please and is trying to move up the ladder, and then you're using that to take advantage of, that's a problem. That's a real problem.
Yeah. And so, again, to the way that this fits into larger society and where we need to go, we have to take these things serious. And it's not just simply like, oh, did I go too far? It's like, dude, if you're 60, you're the 60-year-old, she's the 20-year-old. You should be telling her what too far is, not the other way around. I mean, like literally, I mean, that when young ladies my daughter's age have to tell, somebody that's close to my age that, hey, there's a real problem, right? And again, it's just, I just feel like it's, I mean, this is not harmless flirting because of the power dynamic. And this is the part that we have to keep coming back to. It's the same thing, like I said, again, when you take it all the way to the farthest extreme, and I'm not saying that, Cuomo was a rapist, but I'm saying that when you talk about like rape, a lot of times what people forget is the power dynamic, because folks will be like, oh, who, her? Man, I wouldn't rape her. Look at her. It's like, dude, that's not even what it's about.
It's not about that. Yeah, it's about
right. That's exactly right. And so you feel because you can overpower this person in this moment that you're going to just do what you want to do, and that's what you're getting off on. So, again, man, it's just it just really bothers me when we try to like downplay it and just simply like, oh, that's no big deal. Donald Trump did worse. Yeah, he did. And he said worse. And he should have never gotten where he is. So I just think, look, all of the Cuomo for president conversation, I don't know about if he resigns as governor, but Cuomo for president, that's done unless his brother from CNN decides he wants to run.
I mean, I think there's probably going to be a call for, a recall. I mean, he is in his second term, and it's actually almost ready to come to, he's about midway through. He's midway through his third term. Which will be his last. So, I don't think that there's going to be ongoing. People will do the investigation. They'll come out. They'll slap his hand, and they'll keep on rolling.
Yeah, but he's gonna, like you said again. Whatever it is he thought he was gonna do after this, it's a wrap.
Well, he's also the president of the Governors Association right now too.
For now.
Yeah.
For now, like I said again, you can't. I mean, look, could a Republican survive this? Of course. Because of the Republican Party, you can survive anything.
Well, because your name is Donald Trump.
Well, I'm just saying, he set the bar.
Everybody anyway. They just ignore whatever.
It's like, what? You did what? You call somebody the N-word in front of people on the airplane? Whatever. Probably deserved it. I mean, so if you're a Republican, this is not a deal breaker.
Right.
But, dude, you're in the Democratic Party. And by the way, your brother is one of the main anchors on CNN. Don't think that all of this does not play into all of this, right? And so you can't separate this stuff now because it's all mixed in together. He's gonna have to give something up.
But let me just say again, I mean, much like Trump to some extent, because of his relationship, his deep ties with the Republican Party in New York, even if they were to move to impeach him and remove him from office, he's got Republicans that are going to protect him because they like him. So, I don't know. It's very interesting. We'll have to see what happens with this.
So let me answer this question. K. Rashad Bey asked the question, why is Mark Kelly Tyler so upset by this? I mean, so I want to go back to Sharice Tucker's comment. Sharice, glad to see you listening this morning. Didn't know you were a listener of the show. Friend of ours. Sharice says, we have to give voice to the insidious nature of sexism and misogyny with the same weight of seriousness that we do racism. It, too, is an agent of white supremacy. See, you can't have all that same energy on the one thing, and then you get to something like this, to Sharice's point, and just kind of just gloss it over. Because look, I'm a guy. I know, hey, come on, man, we just went too far. I mean, look, I am a work in progress, like all men. I mean, I think I want to go. Robert Garland, I think it was Robert, posted in the chat this morning. All men have some Trumpism. Robert, you're absolutely right. Do we not? I mean, do we not? I mean, we all have that in us. And I don't know that in a lifetime we will ever eradicate it completely. I was raised like many of you. I came out in an inner city, Oakland, California, where if a woman doesn't answer, if you holler at a woman walking across the street and she doesn't respond, what do as a teenager? Call her the B word. Or I know you didn't do that because you came out of Mount Airy. I came out of East Oakland. Deep East Oakland. No, that wasn't your friends, I know. But I'm just telling you the circle that I grew up in. No, I'm being honest, right? Or she must not like men, right? That was the next thing. So if you don't like us, if you don't like me, then it must be something wrong with you. That's the way that, I'm talking about my socialization.
Right.
The way that I was, and so a lot of this, these are things that, again, as I've grown in the different experiences and beginning to hear things and being open to listen, beginning to understand that things that we as men don't see all the time, just like white people don't see about race, right? Just like straight folk don't see about queer folk issues, just like, add anything else in there, that just because you are not a woman does not mean this shouldn't upset you.
Right.
And it should upset you because it's wrong. That's why. Just like I get upset about white folk calling the police on black folk bird watching.
Right.
So that's why.
Well, Leslie Patterson Tyler says because MKT has daughters.
And here's Will Mega. Will, sometimes, man, I don't know, bro. No, that's BS. Not all men have Trumpism.
I think, well, let me just say this. One of probably the most progressive black men I know in my life was the Reverend Dr. Dennis Wiley from Covenant Baptist.
Oh, that's my guy, man.
Dennis, when we first moved to D.C., we actually were members of Covenant Church. And I never forget one Sunday, it was probably the most liberating sermon I've ever heard in my life, when Dr. Wiley got up and began preaching and talked about the fact that he was born and shaped in misogyny, and that every day it is a battle to fight the misogyny that is in him. And I think in that moment, it gave me permission to own the fact that, I was born and shaped in a level of sexism and chauvinism. And now it was my responsibility to do what I could do to fight that, to war against it, in much the same way that white folk have to war against racism and white supremacy, that men have to war against patriarchy, misogyny, and sexism that's rooted in our culture and the way that we are raised. And then because I am a girl dad, right, I have two daughters. Daily I fight this battle for them, recognizing that ultimately anything that you do to some woman is somebody's daughter at some point along the line. And so we want to be able to treat our siblings who happen to identify as female with dignity and respect, the love that they are deserved, the affirmation and the protection of the community. And so we we work hard. I'm not going to say we're successful at it every day, but we war against that which is in us to prevent us from being able to treat people with dignity and respect.
And after all that we just put out there in the last 20 minutes, Will Mega, you give us this, seriously. Saying all men have Trumpism is like saying all women have whorism. It's simply not true. I mean, seriously. I mean, you don't want me to comment on this stuff, but then you put that stuff out there. That,
wow.
My God, man.
Okay, we got to go.
What? My God.
We got to go.
I don't even know where to even go with that. Like, how do you like completely miss that? It's like totally misrepresenting what Robert put out there. All right, you're right. We have to take a break. It's 6:41. And thank God we're up on a commercial with comments like that. I'm sorry, Will. That's just, I'll let Facebook handle that comment. You all, I don't know how you all feel about that. Maybe it strikes you a little different, but we'll be right back on the other side of the break. This is the Power Hour.
I went to check on Pop today. We put our hands up to the glass as if we were touching. But really, the only touching part was that we both tried to smile.
That's no way to say hello or goodbye. COVID-19 vaccines are here, but until enough of us are vaccinated, we'll all still need to help slow the spread. Keep a 6-foot distance, wear a mask, and avoid indoor social gatherings. Learn more about vaccines and slowing the spread at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Livelihood. WURD Radio's new initiative, connecting Black Philadelphians with jobs, entrepreneurship resources, small business development information, and financial literacy tools. Learn more at wordworks.com. That's WURDWORKS.com. And stay tuned to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by ZQuil Pure Z's. Looking at 95 southbound, getting heavy Cotman down through bridge through construction. Jammed again from Betsy Ross down through Girard northbound. Looking good by an expressway. No problems yet through Center City. Schuylkill Expressway both ways. Not too bad as well so far this morning. Same thing on the Boulevard Route 1 southbound. No reported problems there through the construction brought down through Fox. On the Blue Route 476 northbound. Watch for restrictions there at the exit at number 19 for Germantown Pike. That is closed. That is because of a sinkhole in New Jersey. 55 north building. Deptford in the 42 running with no major issues yet. You have to be up in 5 hours, 2 hours, and you haven't slept. Vicks ZQuil Pure Z's is a drug-free blend of botanicals with an optimal dose of melatonin that helps you fall asleep naturally and wake with no next-day grogginess. ZQuil Pure Z's, naturally superior sleep. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Clear skies and cold this morning, and winter winds are blowing. It's making it feel like it's in the lower teens. The winds gusty this morning will be decreasing this afternoon. At lunchtime, 35 degrees, bright sunshine, and a high of 39 later today. Clear, less wind tonight, down to 30 Wednesday morning, and a spring-like day tomorrow, up to 56 with mostly sunny skies. Partly sunny and a bit cooler on Thursday, a high of 48. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Mark Kelly Tyler. It is getting hot in here on this Facebook channel. Folk are getting lit up in there. So just to say it like that,
So to say that, I've been really trying to move on past this. And again, you don't have to agree with me. That's fine. But, and I see your comment in there, Will, but that was not just simply a disagreement. That's like way beyond the pale, in my opinion. That it's like so white people will tell you, white people get defensive in the same way. When you say that all white people have white supremacist tendencies in Western culture. Mm-hmm. And they'll say, I'm not racist. Don't be calling me racist. I've never called anybody the N-word. I'm not racist. To which we would say what? What would you say to the white person who tells you, I'm not racist because I've never said the N-word?
Right. It's a system and a structure. And you live into it every single day, and you benefit from it every single day. Absolutely.
Right. And so it's like, yeah, you personally may have never said anything that crosses the line with women. Personally. But in the society, everything about it, when we are born into this society, this white, racist, white supremacist, white misogynistic, everything about it, it's anti-Muslim, it's anti-immigrant, it's anti-anything basically except white Christian male. It really doesn't like white Catholics, but it has made a deal with white Catholics years ago because they needed the votes.
That's right.
If you go back, it was really just white Protestant and a certain kind of white.
It was WASP. It was WASP.
Right.
White Anglo-Saxon Protestants.
Yeah. And so everything about it, it kind of reinforces that. And so when you're raised in it, you have you're going to benefit from some of it. In the same ways, I think the point Robert was making, and I would agree with, which is that as men, yes, we have to have our eyes open to the fact that we have been socialized in a way that, again, in your entire life, you will probably never fully eradicate because it's just that deep within us. It just is. So anyway, but it's hilarious, man. Like I said again, I love the comments sometimes just kind of make the point for me,
There you go.
Right? You just make the point for me. I'm trying to make the point, and it's like, oh, there it is. That's the point. Thank you. That's exactly what I was talking about. Appreciate it. Living example. So listen, I did say I wanted to just talk about Septima Clarke. Speaking of phenomenal African-American women during Black Women's History Month, I had a clip, but we won't play it. But Septima Clarke was the mother of the movement. And again, grandmother of the movement, out of South Carolina, incredible figure. And in so many ways, man, just kept showing up. And but the clip that I had set up was her talking about being in churches in places like Montgomery during the bus boycott and in Natchez, Mississippi. She said they were in one of the churches meeting during the bus boycott, and one of the neighbors who was one of the leaders of the White Citizens Council. That was the cleaned up version of KKK.
Yeah.
And that was the more polite version of it. We're not the Klan, we're the Citizens Council. And so said they threw tear gas canisters into the church while they were meeting with young people. So they all came outside throwing up and everything, just totally just jacked them up. But that's not as bad as when she said she went down to Mississippi, which was the mother of all states when it came to handling Black folk and keeping us in line. I don't know what it is about Mississippi, but some of the most heinous acts have happened there. She said they were meeting in another church, walked outside after the meeting is over, standing on the sidewalk for about 5 minutes, turned back and looked, and the church was engulfed in flames.
Oh, wow.
Burned the church down for opening up to let them meet to strategize about things like voting rights. And here we are, and what I think is appropriate about her story is that on yesterday in the state of Georgia, still in the Deep South, the Republican-led House in Georgia is sending on to the Republican-led Senate and the Republican governor of Georgia new measures to, again, make it more difficult for Black people to vote. Things that Septima Clarke and others fought against, they were tear gassed about, had the churches burned, many were, beaten, mutilated, and killed. And so the new bill, should it become law, limits Sunday voting to only one Sunday in each county. Now that's Sunday voting, souls to the polls, has been huge for Black folk. Reduces the ballot box, the drop boxes for ballot boxes, and puts them inside voting locations, requires more restrictive issues around voter ID, sets all kind of deadlines around absentee ballots, and reduces the amount of time for a runoff. So in the case of Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, they benefited from a 9-week period of time after the general election before the runoff. They would now reduce that to 4 weeks.
Whoa.
So essentially what Georgia is saying is, you Black people have been so successful that we want to roll the clock back to pre-Septima Clarke days. They had to call it the pre-Septima Clarke bill. Dude, is that crazy?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. So there are a lot of states around the country where Republican legislatures dominate that are working to roll back the voting rights, including Pennsylvania. There are laws, there are attempts to roll back voting, the way that we voted, to limit it so that it prevents Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and places like that being able to have the influence in the elections that come forth. So it's crazy that it's happening like that in Georgia, but watch, that will be a model that will be used across the country. ALEC is behind this. This is the American Legislative Exchange Council, which is backed by the Koch brothers. It's a conservative think tank that puts out legislation around the country. They are actually the group that actually produced the voter ID laws that got passed some years ago that like had to keep getting fought in court and over again to get rid of, and actually in some states are still enacted, right? They're the ones that are trying to do this because they want to be able to limit voting to the elite, and basically going back to the white male landowner, the oligarchs that are actually the ones that are able to vote. So don't be surprised. This is not going to be the only state that's doing this. There are going to be about 25, 30 other states that are going to be passing legislation like this as well.
Man, so and look out for Pennsylvania.
It's coming. It's already here. I mean, there's already a lot of talk about it already. I mean, because our party is still Trump-esque. I mean, just to note that the party voted not to censor, the Republican Party voted not to censor Senator Pat Toomey for voting against Donald Trump, but part of it has to do with the fact that he's not running again. But now there are members of the party that are basically saying, if you don't fall in line with Trump, we're going to chase you out of the party. Right. You know, that was in the paper today. So I think, you know, and that is a problem that Trump has this stranglehold, right? They've been going down kissing the feet of the golden calf or the golden statue, literally. And, you know, it was at CPAC. They had the golden statue at CPAC of Trump down there that they were coming down there to basically worship and to throw themselves before and to beg for his love and affection. And I think it's just we're in a very dangerous time,
Yep. So, all right, I want to end with this quote that I promised you all. This is a preacher in Alabama, of all places, an evangelical, because we keep asking, where's the evangelical church? This guy, man, I appreciate him, Reverend Kilpatrick. And Kwesa, go ahead and play it. This is him talking to a largely white congregation in deep Alabama about reparations. You got to hear it.
Now, let me say something right quick. I think back on the African-American people in America. I think how that they were taken against their wills, put in the belly of ships, brought over here, beat, cussed. Many of them died in the guts of those ships, thrown overboard. They were pulled from families over there. You ain't never heard a gut-wrenching song. Do you hear a black person sing one of those old black Negro spirituals? Nobody knows. I can't sing it like that, see, because I hadn't experienced what they be. When you've experienced hell, it comes out of the voice. I said, when you experience hell, it comes out of the voice. If you're one of those people that you got problem with black people or whatever, you better shut your mouth, because they're God's people. You better hear what I'm saying to you. You better shut your white mouth. You better shut your white mouth. I'm not kidding you. I know some of you was raised in the deep South and you was raised by prejudiced people and bigoted people. You better get that out of your system. You better get it out of your system. It'll cause you to suffer right along with those masters. It'll cause you to suffer right along with them. These are God's people. And I know that there's wicked in white races and wicked in black races and all that. I'm not justifying none of that stuff. I'm just saying God knows what happened to the black race. He knows how they wound up over here, and God is going to reimburse the black people for all their trouble and all their labor. You watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you. Listen.
We got to go, but Royster, Cedric Richmond yesterday was saying that Biden is going to start dealing with reparations now. And Pastor John Kilpatrick, a white evangelical at a mega church in Alabama, said God is going to reimburse black people for all we've been through. And if you don't like it, shut your white mouth. John Kilpatrick. I'm about to start worshiping with him on Sundays after my service. That's all I got, bro. I'm out.
All right. Well, listen, everybody, thanks for checking us out here on the Power Hour. We appreciate everybody that's checked in with us today, Facebook, YouTube, whether you're on the air, checking us through the app, or whatever means that you do it. Thank you, Kwesa, holding the board down. Thank you, Dr. Tyler, for doing what you do each and every day. We'll be back tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinion. Stay tuned now for Wake Up a Word with Solomon Jones. And listen, folk, go out, change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
In my gun.